Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ricardo Acosta, and today I'll be talking about the importance of using graphical elements in your presentation in order to enhance the effects it has on your audience, as well as the relationship between carefully planning, selecting your presentation type, knowing your audience, and the communication skills that you need in order to become a good, effective presenter. Let's begin. Now let's see. What are graphical elements useful for in a presentation? Well, we can use them to support both ourselves and our audience. For example, we can use them to better exemplify some subjects we are talking about. We can also use to give ourselves other flow during our ideas and our speech. And we can use them to keep our audience interested into the subjects we are talking about. Now let's see, what are some of these graphical elements that we can use? Well, for example, we've got colors, we can also create contrast, we can use pictures and illustrations, we can use graphs, we can also use videos, we can make a little animation here and there, we can use shape and forms. We need to carefully select the font and the size that we're going to use in order to make sure our audience can actually see what we're talking about. We must also be careful to not overwhelm them with these elements, or they will feel very displeased with our presentation. We can also use music and sound effects, but only if they are necessary. We can use diagrams. We need to use keywords to keep our audience centered into the important parts of our presentation. We can also use games like crosswords or puzzles in order to keep the audience engaged. And we can also use special effects, because why not? And transitions, like this one. Regarding our actual presentation, first of all, we've got one of the most important parts or steps of almost everything in life: careful planning. Careful planning is essential for the presenter so that he can determine what audience am I going to be speaking to, how much time have I got for my presentation, where will I present, what kind of resources do I need to use, what's the kind of presentation that I'm going to use. A good presenter can carefully identify these elements and deliver a good, effective presentation. It is very important for the presenter to determine the kind of presentation that he's going to use. There are many different kinds of presentation, but they usually boil down to one of three objectives, whether it is to inform the public, to persuade them, or to build goodwill. So we can say we've got informative presentations, persuasive presentations, goodwill presentations, instructional presentations, decision-making presentations, arousing presentations, and multi-purpose presentations. But we've also got presentations that are used to achieve specific goals. For example, increasing the sales of a product, training people, entertaining them, or, for example, building an image like the political arena. Once the presenter has determined the presentation they are going to use, they already know what resources they are going to use. It's time to correctly identify the audience. Now let's remember there are also different kinds of audience. For example, is your audience unaware, meaning they don't know anything about the subject you will be speaking about? Are they indifferent because they think they already know everything and don't care about your presentation? Is the audience favorable, so they will actually help you during your presentation, ask questions, and you will actually enjoy it? Or is the audience unfavorable, meaning they will be constantly arguing with the presenter and you need more work in order to make sure they actually understand something? A good presenter can carefully identify their audience and design strategies that will allow their ideas to get across to them. Last but not least, let's see what are the skills that make a good presenter. First of all, a good presenter constantly practices. He practices again, practices a third time, a fourth time, as many times as necessary until it becomes second nature to him and he knows every little detail about his presentation. A good presenter also arrives early to the presentation site to check that everything is working as it's supposed to. The lights, the microphone, the presentation, the way the audience will be sitting, etc. All of these elements must be controlled by the presenter in order to make sure the presentation is as effective as possible. Now then, regarding some skills that I have that make me able to become an effective presenter, well, I consider them to be that I'm confident. I try to be confident so I do not lose credibility. I also use a lot of gestures and hand movement, as you could see during the duration of this video. So that will be all for me. I know that these skills can still improve with time. I hope I can improve them with time. And well, I hope you enjoyed this little informative presentation. And remember, stay hydrated.